Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about the best bosses in which you should be farming inside of Borderlands 4, as these are going to be bosses that are either providing some of the best loot in the game, best legendary loot in the game, or can be a very fast and efficient purple farm as well, even though when you're farming purples, you generally want to try and get them as you're farming specific legendary. But let's go ahead and get right into it. So honorable mention, I do have Splashzone here. Main drop that I like from him is obviously going to be the fireworks. I have a little bit of bias towards the jelly grenade as well, but the fireworks shield is really, really good. One of the best mobbing shields in the game. And because Splashzone is so fast to farm and has pretty low HP, he also makes for a good purple farm as well. Whether you need firmware or you're hunting specific purple gear, Splashzone can be the most easiest, most accessible farm for purples in the game. And fireworks is a really good shield to boot as well. Staying in the Fades fields, we have the Backhive Abandoned Auger Mine boss from the Claim Abandoned Auger Mine over in the Fades fields of the Dissected Plateau. This boss is here for one simple reason: that triple bypass is one of the best rep kits in the entire game, as it once again gives you 3 charges, and whenever you defeat an enemy, you have a 33% chance to replenish a charge. Essentially, you're always going to be at max charges, and on certain characters, I'm just going to use Rafa as an example since Rafa is a character I play. Since he is so hard struck generally towards his Peacebreaker cannons being up, whenever they're not, you definitely feel the effects of it, and having a triple bypass and now with caffeine to just instantly get your cannons back is a very nice combo. Triple bypass in general is just very, very good. You're going to want to have a few good rolls of these, and the Backhive is the boss that drops it. We're going to keep on staying in the Fades fields, because for any of my Rafa players out there, you're going to want to at some point set a night aside, set some time aside in which you farm Idolator Soul, as this guy obviously is located in the Fortress Indomina. The Fades field is one of the first main story bosses. He drops 2 things that Rafa makes very good use out of. Obviously, the Dancer legendary class item, I would say, is Rafa's best class item for him, used on just about any main gun build for Rafa. And then one of his best weapons that he can truly take the most advantage of, and I have a little bit of bias towards, is the Golden God. Both of them drop from Idolator Soul, but if you are not a Rafa player or you don't have a Rafa made right now, you could definitely skip Soul for the time being, as the Onslaught SMG isn't that good. But if you are, abso-freaking-lutely, come on, farm some Idolator Soul if you're a Rafa main, trust me. Now, moving away from the Fades fields, we're going to be moving over towards the Terminus range. First bosses that I would like to talk about from this area of the map is Saddleback and Boneface. This is an old scrape Ripper drill site boss over in the Cuspid Climb, and the main drops from these bosses that I like is the Hellwalker and the Warpaint rep kit. The Warpaint rep kit is, I like to refer to it as the bullet hosing rep kit. Any bullet hosing build that I use on my Rafa, any fast firing SMGs, showcases that we've done, wombo combo showcase, like any sort of these just high rate of fire weapons, the Warpaint is really, really good because it gives it increased rate of fire. And I have one which not only has the base, but gives it an additional 15% rate of fire increase. Just an overall really awesome rep kit for any bullet hosing build. And we know how awesome the Hellwalker is now after its buff. Amazing, amazing legendary shotgun. Hits hard, it's fire, great against any flesh bar enemies. Just an amazing, amazing weapon. We all know, and both of them drop from these Ripper drill site bosses. Definitely going to be worth your time farming these bosses. Now, we're going to stay here in the Terminus range. This is a boss that I have considered my Wotan of this game, if you will. Shout out to y'all if you get the reference. But I have Origo, the vault boss of the Terminus range, as Origo's 2 main drops, actually 3. I don't have the Bottle Lightning mentioned in my notes here, but low-key, I've heard a lot of good things about the Bottle Lightning, so could add that to it. Class items from this boss honestly stink, but the Watts for Dinner legendary shield, just being able to give you 3 extra shock damage that you're able to scale in other ways, just another source of elemental damage. Awesome, huge, we'll take that. And one of the best SMGs in the game, the KOs, and I think I go every single video at least having to mention the KOs in Bladoff legendary SMG at least once. It's so good. It's Torque Sticky's SMG, very, very good, amazing weapon on just about any character. We all know this, and Origo gets to be bullied by the community because he's dropping such good loot. But let's go ahead and segue over to the Carcadia Burn, as this boss, I have got to admit, is a little bit like of a asterisk near this boss, because leader Willem, he has like 5 prerequisites in terms of side quests you have to complete in order for you to actually be able to farm this boss. But his loot is actually pretty good, and the two that I want to highlight are the Fire Pot and the Rainbow Vomit. The Fire Pot on an Ordnance Rafa build, or probably Ordnance Amon build as well, could probably just, I haven't used Amon too much, so I don't want to speak too much on his name, but I know he has good Ordnance builds, and I know Rafa is really good at any like grenade-esque Ordnance build with its Grenazerker class item and some very Ordnance friendly skills in Rafa's skill trees. And I know the Fire Pot can absolutely incinerate bosses on Rafa through that setup. And the Rainbow Vomit is one of the better weapons in the game. It's a Jacob shotgun that is shooting 3 elements at once every single time. Obviously, you can get a mix of any of the elements you could possibly want. Leads to a lot of RNG in which you want to get multiple copies of this weapon. Maybe you want like a radiation cryo along with fire on it, or maybe a shock cryo and fire. Like, there's so many good combinations for a Rainbow Vomit, and it's such a good shotgun. It applies so many dots, status effects, any sort of future builds that would revolve around that with this shotgun. You're going to want to have it, and overall it's just a good weapon in which you don't have to build heavily into it in order for it to perform fairly well. Now, that being said, we are now going to talk about the baby grunts. What are the baby grunts? This is a Ripper drill site boss located in the ruined slumped lands of the Carcadia Burn, relatively up north at the very top north of the map, and they're the dedicated drop source for the Wombo Combo, the best assault rifle in the game and my personal favorite weapon. It's a rocket shooting assault rifle. Who doesn't like that? But it's also a pretty darn good purple farm as well. Ripper drill sites in general are pretty good for farming purples, just because there's a decent amount of mobs for you to chew through, which obviously will drop purples. But this area particularly, you're going to have 3 bosses at the end that you're going to be defeating, so they're going to always drop a good amount of purples every single time. You have those 2 factors together, makes this Ripper drill site a pretty premium spot to actually spend your time farming inside of Borderlands 4, so that's why they make this list. We have 2 more bosses left. This next one, I would put I would really put this up there as like one of the main priority ones you should go farm once you hit level 50. Axemaul. Axemaul is a auger mine boss, the Toil of Spoiling Vis auger mine boss located in the Carcadia district of Dominion. It's really close to a fast travel station. Doesn't take you much long, hardly at all, to get there. And 2 things that this bad boy drops. Axemaul drops the Bod, arguably the best weapon in the entire game, just flat out, as it's a shotgun that counts as every single weapon class in the entire game. A weapon that you can slot on any build, just plug and play without having to build into it. It's going to perform very, very well. And there's just so many part combinations on this weapon. You're going to be farming for a lot of different roles, and that good old phosphine, of course. But not only does this boss drop one of the most sought after weapons in the game, he also drops, in my opinion, one of the most slept on rev kits in the entire game in the Kill Spring. The Kill Spring is just one of the best sustainability, survivability rev kits in the game. As 100% of excess damage is going to turn into these healing seekers. It says it heals allies, but it works in solo, so they're going to come heal you, which is very, very, very nice. So if you're mobbing, you're basically just, I don't want to say immune, but your sustainability and survivability are just through the roof, because higher levels in UHM5, any good build is going to be dishing out high levels of damage. So those excess orbs, man, dude, you're going to have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of health coming your way, which obviously you don't need that much, but that's how strong the Kill Spring is. It's just going to be keeping you up when you're mobbing. It's a very, very good rev kit that I genuinely believe does not get enough appreciation from the community inside of this current sandbox. So I'm mentioning it here, and that's why Axemaul is one of the better bosses, highest priority level enemies for you to go and farm inside of Borderlands 4. What's the last boss? Well, pretty sure some of you guys are getting to where I'm getting at here. Timekeeper. Who would have thought? The final boss of the main story has some pretty darn good loot. First things first, Timekeeper's new shield is a very unique shield, as it pulls all of your shield into your health bar instead, so you don't have a shield anymore, and it gives you 33% damage reduction. Well, very, very interesting, unique concept for a legendary shield, and currently very prevalent on Sniper Vex, although this shield has a gateway and a doorway for it to be making its way on some other builds in the future, depending on what we may get in terms of new gear. But don't let that fool you from the fact that one of its weapons is also very, very awesome, that being the Borstal Ballista. We have done a video on this sniper rifle, and it is awesome. Essentially, at a certain distance when you fire this bad boy, the bullets is just going to spread into a very wide circling cyclone entity of bullets, allowing you to get so much projectiles, and all those projectiles can proc so much stuff. They can all proc bloodshot, for example. That's why it's really good on Sniper Vex. Pair that with the Timekeeper shield. If you're a Vex player, this is the boss you go farm. If you are a Vex main, Timekeeper's the boss you go farm. Either later Souls for Rafa, Timekeeper is for Vex. Anyways, fellas, that is going to wrap it up for this video, letting you guys know, in my opinion, some of the best bosses that you should just be farming. Obviously, if there's specific legendary gear that you want, you're obviously going to go have to farm that specific boss. But in terms of just a broad perspective, in terms of valuable bosses to be spending your time at, and when you don't really know what you should be farming or where you should be farming at, these bosses should be the first ones that come across your mind, and I hope they drop you some heater here loot. Real quick, fellas, I do just want to shout out our channel members, something I've been starting to do recently with the most recent video. Shout out to KJ42, appreciate you, my man, and the homie Pikachu, with the Super Saiyan tier essentially being a tier 3 member. Very much appreciated. Thank you guys so much for being members of the channel. If you would like your name mentioned at the end of the videos, becoming a member at the lowest value will get you that. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Y'all have a great day. See you in the next one. Adios.